Now we're going to program the ball to bounce in the room. Now there's certain things we can control about the room here, but what we can't control here in this room is how things work inside of it. That all has to be programmed into each object. So let's come over here to our object list, and I'm going to show you a ball that's already been programmed with everything in it. This is a green ball right here. Every movement, every event, every if-then statement attached to this object and how it functions in a room have been set up here inside this menu. The event column is the if statement. The action column is the then statement. So you'll notice here there are 3 ifs, and each if has several actions attached to it. The first thing you have to do is actually create the object and say that it exists in this room, and that the program is going to look at this list of actions and follow. Almost the entire game has been programmed into this one object. Now I'm going to show you how to build this. Let's open the pink ball object, and we have a clean slate. So the first thing we have to do is have the if statement. So we're going to have this, if this object exists in this room, we're going to create it. If it's in the room, then we're going to come over here and pick from these categories. These are then statements. If this object is in the room, then it's going to move. And I want it to move in 4 different opposite directions. I want it to move kind of slow, so I'm going to set the speed really low at 6. I don't want it to be relative, and it only applies to that object. Say OK. Now right here I could add a sound to the room that's going to play while the game's playing. I'm not going to do that now. The next event I'm going to say is if there's a collision. So if there's a collision with what? The wall object. Then what's going to happen in the action column? Well, then I come over here to my categories, and under this first move section there's a section called jump, and there's a bounce command, and I'm going to say I want it to bounce. So only the ball's going to bounce. It's going to bounce against solid objects, and it's not going to be precise. That means it's going to randomly bounce in different directions, so it won't bounce in the same angle all the time. It's going to kind of be all over the place, which is what I want. So now what else do I need it to do? I need it to score points. How does a person score points? Well, they're going to interact with the ball using the mouse, because the book said that this is a game for elementary children learning how to use a mouse. So we're going to have them click the left button. So I'm going to add an event, and I'm going to say if you click the mouse. How am I going to click it? Well, we want to just say if you press it, not if you release it. We want to say if you press it, then what happens? Well, then we're going to go down here to the score category, and we're going to say, hey, you are going to score how many points? 1. But it's going to be relative to where you started, which means it's going to add on to it. So every time they click the left mouse button, it's going to add 1 point, because I said it was relative. If I did not have relative checked off, then it would always stay at 1 point only. So I'm going to say OK. The next thing I have to tell the program is you need to check and make sure that we're going to test the score. And I'm going to say when you test the score each time they score, if it says 10 points, if they've done that 10 times, it's equal to 10, I want you to end the game. So I'll say score 1 point every time you click the left mouse button. And if you reach 10 points, then what's going to happen? I'm going to look for the category that has end the game. All right, here are the game options. Right here's the end game button. I'm going to say end the game. And I'm going to say OK and save it. Now, we can watch and see if the ball is going to bounce off the wall like I told it to. So let's watch the game play. Up here on Game Maker, I have a green play button, and I'm going to tell it to run the game in a window to simulate what it would be like if somebody was playing it. So I'm going to open that. Yay! My ball bounces off the wall. Woohoo! That's what we want. All right, the next part 6 is going to be about how to add the sounds in. Looking good.